This is Bottom of the Bill.
Happy Halloween and welcome to another edition of Bottom of the Bill. For those of you who are just listening, I am wearing my unicorn costume right now. You can check it out on my Instagram. I made a pretty dope post, so you can tell me what you think about it. Anyways, for those of you not listening, you may notice I am not in the studio right now. I took some time to come out to LA for a couple weeks and just check the scene out a little bit, which has been going awesome. Got to hang out with my good friend Joe Marcinek last week. He just happened to be in town at the same time that I was, so that was awesome. Shout out to Joe. Fantastic guitar player and writer, and always been really cool to me and allowing me to jam with him and stuff over the years. So he's an awesome guy. It was great to catch up with him. And then on Wednesday, I went to this place called Tiny Room Jams. It's like a studio, and they open up to like an improv jam thing every Monday and Wednesday. So I got to meet a bunch of fantastic musicians there, which is really cool. And then I got to catch up with our friend of the podcast, Jose, who's now living out in LA, but at the time he did the podcast, which you should go check it out, with him and Liston. It was hilarious. They were living in Jax at the time. So anyways, it was cool to catch up with them. I got to play a little bit and meet some really cool people. The vibe was amazing. Everyone was just super, it felt like family almost, they're super supportive, and on top of everyone just being really talented. So it was cool to see and definitely inspiring in a lot of ways. Definitely came home and practiced for a while after that. And then, I'm going to be out here for another week or so. I'll be back on, I think, the 3rd or the 4th, one of those days. I got to check my calendar. Anyways, it's been an awesome time. So this week on the podcast, we have Lifted Riffs. We have Ben and Dorian. Really cool guys. They're a punk band coming out of Jacksonville. Really cool music. Their single Green is out right now. You can find it on all platforms. I believe they're releasing another one in November coming up, so make sure you check out for that. They're really community oriented. Really dig the energy these guys are bringing. They're super positive. I think they're in it for the right reasons. And it's always fun for us to get to sit down and talk to the next crop of musicians, especially in different scenes, because there's so much happening in Jacksonville, different ecosystems within the music scene that we're not always aware of, because we just don't go see those kind of shows, or we're just not involved in that world. So it's cool to see guys like Ben and Dorian come on the show and talk about what's going on in their scenes and enlighten us as to what's happening as well, and all of our listeners, because I think it's important that we know and we support and we talk about what's going on in Jacksonville. It's a great scene. So before we get to all of that, just as usual, we have merchandise for sale. We have a description below, and we also have a show that I want to promote on November 14th. I'm playing at Jackrabbits with Baked Shrimp, which is a band out of Long Island. They are super dope, awesome jam band. And we have Brandon Howell playing drums with me, Kevin Ramos playing bass, and then we have Aaron Thorla on keys. So it's gonna be a really fun show. We've got a great set list, stuff that I've not been able to play before. So it's going to be fun, different, challenging. I'm excited about it. It's inspiring to play with these guys, because they're all super talented and a lot of fun. So link for the tickets are going to be in the description, so make sure you get those while you still can. And enjoy the episode, guys. Thanks. Peace.
This is Bottom of the Bill.
Not a whole lot. It's Monday morning, so I'm just kind of like trying to snap myself into the week a little bit, It's like
hard.
People talk about musicians like not having regular work weeks and stuff, but I've gotten to a point now where I have to give myself a regular work week, otherwise my life goes into disarray.
Yeah, I'm still recovering from the last 2 shows, if we're being honest. It's oh my god.
So where'd you guys play?
We played at Shantytown. What was it, yesterday, or was it the day before that? I still can't remember the days now. I've lost all track of days at this point. And we did a battle of the bands, and then the day before that we did punk nights at Jackrabbits, and that was, that took all of my energy. That
phenomenal.
took all of it. So
It's really cool.
So I've been sleeping the last like 24 hours.
I feel that, bro. So, Lifted Riffs. I like the name, by the way.
Yeah.
It's so can you tell me a little bit about it? Because I have an idea of what it means, but I don't want to. Yeah, just tell me what it means.
It's gonna be him. It's gonna be him.
It was something we came with a couple years ago. It was me and my friend Anthony, and I always loved the show F is for Family on Netflix, and Bill Burr. Such an amazing casting, and the way they bring that show to life was amazing. It's got nostalgia and everything with it, and in that show they poke fun at Led Zeppelin with Lifted Riffs. It's like a joke band, and they have like "Lick My Pickle" was one of their songs and stuff. So it was like I heard that band name and I was like, I think it could be an actual band name if we really incorporated it and tried to make that happen. And I guess I was the one to do that, because I kind of just flew with it. But Lifted Riffs actually is a term coined against Led Zeppelin for stealing other people's songs.
That's why I figured it was.
Lifting riffs was the terminology for it. But when they had Lifted Riffs on there, I was just like, I could do this. Like, it's a cool name. Yeah,
it's a great name. And it also is kind of true of music in general, where there's not really any original ideas after a while. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, sooner or later, it's just like, and we at least don't like sample music. I'm sorry, I still can't. I'm not hip on that yet. Yeah. If we're gonna cover something, we'll cover it. But the whole sampling thing, sometimes it pays homage, but sometimes it doesn't. But I love what we do, because the ironic thing is we do original music, but we do the covers too. So I guess that kind of incorporates us into being Lifted Riffs a little more, which we've gotten so much flack for being just playing
just for playing like certain covers and just being a cover band half the time. Like, people are definitely
but if we're good enough to be a cover band, we're at least somewhere, like in that regard of people. But I think the original music is really about to kick off, and I can't wait to get the rest of it out. And I'm excited.
Well, have you guys released anything yet?
Yeah, we released Green last Friday at Punk Nights. Was our release party for it.
Okay.
That was an awesome turnout. Dude. That was such a good show.
I gotta say, it was probably one of our best shows I think we've ever done. Like, just the energy, like everyone in the crowd was loving it the whole time. There wasn't like a dull moment the entire set. Even like with the DJ before and after.
Yeah, Chris and Cody were doing Metal Nights, and Punk Nights was hosting for Jackrabbits, and they let us come on and do a set, and we ended up like an hour strong of just like Blink and Local H and just some awesome covers, some awesome bands. We did the new Blink song too one more time. That was flashlights. It was emotional. Nice. That was really cool. Yeah,
popped off my kit for it and everything. It was very
he
special.
sang. Yeah, he started singing too. Now that Travis sings, I guess you got to one up.
I got to do like all three vocals at the end of it to like make sure everyone gets it. Like, okay, he's in it too. Okay.
It's awesome, man. It's been fun.
Yeah. So when did you decide that you wanted to kind of start writing your own stuff? Has this been something? Was this kind of like the whole reason for starting the band, or did you just want to like play other people's tunes and then just got inspired to write?
No, I wanted to start an original band, but from a marketing or salesman point of view, I realized I had to get my feet in as many doors as possible. And to do that, you have to be versatile and vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And I took what I loved, which was the music I had, and got in the door. And then I said, hey, I have something like Green. Green was the first one we wrote. And when that came about, I was like, man, it fits into those covers so well. And I was like, some people thought that was a cover itself.
Oh, that's great.
And even Ryan Turk, we recorded at Warehouse Studios. He thought all of them were covers except for Play Some Nirvana. I think that was the last one we did.
Yeah, when he heard that one, he was like, all right, that one's got to be an original. He's like, oh, the others got to be covers, though. I'm like, no.
He was like, they're covers. And
no.
To go in there and to have the producer be like, man, these are original songs. Like, we don't need copyright licensing. And we were like, yeah, we're saving money. Like, it's a cool thing to be able to actually have that now, because 11 months into actually performing and being a band, it's been a long ride. In 11 months, it's
amazing.
To
be fair, out of the 11 months, I've only been in it for about 3.
Yeah, Dorian.
So it's a brand new journey for me over here. I'm just kind of getting used to the area, if I'm being honest. I just moved here back in March. So
from where?
From Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
And I've been living there for a long time, and I finally moved down here and like getting used to like the beach life and just getting used to everyone. Like,
I love it.
everything's so crazy down here. Like I didn't realize like it's such a different lifestyle. Like,
So
but like for like good and bad reasons. Like I say that like
on the news
for bad reasons. I mean like almost seeing people like naked on the beach at 9 p.m. thinking they can get away with it when they don't see you, or
so
the good parts when I'm able to actually sit on the beach during the day and there's not like maybe 5 people there. It's some good stuff most of the time. But I'm just getting used to the area. And then with Ben, we've been traveling around, going to like all these different venues. So now I'm like, okay, no, I've been here because I know I've played at this spot over here. I know where I'm at. Like it's starting to all kind of piece together.
So you were playing in bands in Louisville?
Yeah. I was playing in bands in Louisville for a couple of years before I moved down here. Yeah.
Okay, and you guys toured around and stuff.
I toured with one band, Dusty Bone, the Contraband. Shout out to them. And the other 2 bands we didn't get to go on tour, but I guess we did record one record with the other band, and then the first band an EP. So I mean, I was around, but not a whole lot of like touring. Just one tour for like 3 weeks, and that was really about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what kind of music was that?
That was like, I guess I would call that like southern rock, like alternative rock for the most part. He had a
Okay.
very like twangy tone, but it was good.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what's your background, Ben? Are you from Jax?
Yeah, I am Orange Park, so pretty much a town of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Born and raised, whole life it was music. My dad and my mom both grew up on like Lynyrd Skynyrd, 38 Special, Allman Brothers, and that all came from. I grew up playing at Ronnie Van Zant Park, so to have that kind of background to set a foundation of like, okay, those are my blues scales, and those are my like that's where I should go to as far as like my home for my family. But once I found that like 90s grunge, everything kind of just changed. My mom was a big Bee Gees and Motley Crue fan too, so and Def Leppard,
Wow.
that was always a big one too.
All totally opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
Bee
so it was
Gees and,
like, yeah, oh yeah, Bee Gees to Motley Crue is like you hear anything come on from them, it's just it's great, and like the Dirt and stuff, that was super inspiring. So all that stuff kind of incorporated into Lifted Riffs, and once I started writing music, I started going solo. So I started doing solo shows and doing covers, and I actually worked with Christian hip hop artist Young Drew, Andrew Estep. He's the one that kind of pushed me into, I guess, being comfortable on stage as a guitarist alone. But then I started, I guess, performing. I performed at like Whitey's Fish Camp and like doing open mics and like places I probably don't belong. But I played my punk and my emo stuff, and it just kind of something worked out in the way where I was able to grow and figure out what I loved. And that was Nirvana and Blink-182. I'm sorry, that was the 2 that really set it for me, and I was like, that's what I want. I want something that's like a splash of Nevermind, a little bit of Enema of the State, and maybe like a little Boxcar Racer for that. Like,
Yeah, I've been trying to incorporate more Boxcar Racer into our set,
like
and it's been a hassle. It's been a hassle. It's been a hassle.
I love it, man. And they're all back and touring, and it really inspires people like us, like kids like us, punks like us, to do what we love to do, but to also be able to ground ourselves to something. And I think for me that was Blink. Once I found that it nothing else could do that, and once we kind of incorporated that into what we did and the music we wrote and how we kind of looked at what we did, especially with them breaking up, coming back together, Sickness,
that was a
Sickness,
big thing.
Plane Crash, from all of that, they're back together. It made us a little bit stronger on our own, saying that, hey, let's do this right the first time. Let's try to do it. You know, we're not always going to get it right, but if we really shoot and strive for that greatness from the first time out, whether it's making T-shirts on our own or whether it's writing music that people think are still cover songs, like anything to just get our name out there, to say, hey, we're here, and to be in the book at all, is especially here in Jacksonville. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
What is it about Blink-182 that you think you resonated with, aside from like the history of the band, and then also like what elements of their music do you think you're incorporating into what you guys do?
Oh, I would, yeah.
I mean, I've already got my straight answer.
Yeah.
I mean, with Travis is like definitely in my top 10.
Okay.
Like, if I had to think of like top 5, I think See, it sucks because I don't think I'd put him in my top 5, but he's definitely like number 7, number 6. But close to that list, the reason why I put him there is because like he's just so technical. That's just the stuff he does. Like I don't see other drummers like do that. Like once he started doing that, I started seeing other drummers try and like copy it and try and like start doing stuff over their heads and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, all right, he started a generation of that, and it's not only that, he doesn't just like do just like fake hits. Like he can actually play everything he plays, and it's like inspiring. Like it's something that I've always strived to like be as good as, and it's. I mean, for Travis, I mean that dude's a monster. So definitely his playing definitely does a lot for my like career and just trying to do better. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I could definitely see that. He's very unique in the sense that he's such an assertive player while also being very performative.
Yeah.
And he's like tricky too. Like
I saw him in July. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that whole show is phenomenal.
And then he's also like a hip hop producer and like, you know, he's just so well versed in many different things.
He's just well respected, I feel like, in every genre almost, because like everyone knows him so well. And it's like, oh, you have Travis on the track? Okay, it's probably gonna be good. Like that's what usually a lot of people think when they hear that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And what about for you, Ben, as far as like Blink-182 and like the influence in your writing and everything?
I would say it started for me with Enema of the State. I think that was the most like mainstream one that really bled into my kind of sheltered life of that like more 70s, 80s, 90s that really popped to me. Kind of like the same way like Nirvana did when I was saying earlier. But when I heard Blink, it was just kind of like what they were writing about, how they were writing about it, how they were going about writing about it. And shout out to obviously Mark Hoppus and Tom DeLonge for being some of the best lyricists. I mean, out there. Mark Hoppus for sure. I never appreciated him as much. I always thought it was Tom.
Yeah, Mark apparently wrote a lot more of those songs than you think. 100%. You give him a lot more credit. Like, yeah.
I always thought it was Tom because in my role I had to be that for my band. There was no Mark Hoppus to kind of like write and come up with licks and come up with riffs and stuff like that. So I always thought it was Tom, but when I saw that Mark did it too, I had to take a step back and say, wow, so two people came together like glue, and there was just this magic. And it didn't matter if they joke about it with Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, that their production team and the producers didn't see a hit. They just saw like small scale songs. They went home that night and wrote Rock Show and First Date and came back, and those two songs will be in time. They will last time forever. I don't see how they can't, man.
All the times we've had to practice First Date.
Yeah,
it's definitely dead into my mind at this point.
It's just the way they write, the not only the joy they bring to their writing, but even with the, I guess, post-hardcore, whatever style to it. I'm trying to think of the more edgy sense of how they write their stuff. They didn't do it till later,
but definitely pop punk and
definitely
the
pop
style
punk.
sensings around it.
I would say the way Mark wrote darker lyrics really changed and grew on me as well, because that allowed him to be versatile without Tom. And then Tom did Boxcar, so when they came back together from Plus 44 and Boxcar to that, I mean.
Yeah, then they wrote Neighborhoods and did that whole thing, and that was a completely like different change of sound. And it was, like,
but there was still some really good stuff. Up All Night is definitely my favorite on that one. The fact that they can do all of these things, write about this stuff. They were just kids. Like in my heart, I know I'm 25, but
I'm 22. So
I'm just a kid. You know, like I know Simple Plan said that best. I'm just a kid. Life is a nightmare, but it really is. Like it's true, man. Like to be in that and to be doing this. There's nothing else that I'd rather write about or style anything after than those bands like that, like Simple Plan, Blink, Sum 41, Newfound Glory, Bowling for Soup. Shout out to Jarrett Reddick. He just followed us on Instagram, which I cried.
Yeah, we were on stage and I was like crouching down to like give him because he wouldn't be able to stand up.
That was crazy. Him and Jeremy Popoff from Lit Band. That was amazing, dude.
Hell yeah.
So to have any ties to anything and to be in this topic at all it's inspiring. It's what keeps me moving. It keeps me writing. It keeps me in the studio booking shows. We just booked 3 more shows. It's incredible to be a part of this and to be doing this.
Hell yeah, man. Are you guys booking like stuff out of town yet, or just mostly in town?
Yeah, we just booked a show in Gainesville, October 25th. We're doing Lit It Downtown. We're doing like a punk emo night out there. So we're getting our feet into Gainesville. We've played in St. Augustine several times, from No Name Bar to Sarbez or Nobby's. We've played several times.
Yeah. Sarbez being our first show together. With me as the
June
drummer.
24th. That was the first one.
It's a fun spot.
We played
it was actually a really good spot. Their food's really good too.
Yeah, I love the sandwiches, grilled cheeses. Yeah, we used to do some of the after parties there for the amphitheater.
Oh, nice!
And it was like, and it was fun because those were like guaranteed packed houses. Yep. So like you'd make a nice fat check at the end of the night, and then like you're getting to play for a bunch of people that are like super into what you're doing.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah, we had a good crowd. I remember when we played that show. It was really good.
Were you what were you guys? It was just like a one-off show type of thing, or was it like an after party attached to it, or like what was the whole thing?
Just it was a one-off show with Real Men at Real Men Band and Talk-A-Lots.
We played with Talk-A-Lots at Shantytown too a couple days ago. And
such an amazing young talented band. I mean, they are truly incredible. The original stuff is grungy and hard, but that punk aspect is there, and they're just growing consistently, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
Shout out to Cam, the drummer from Talk-A-Lots. He's phenomenal. That guy's phenomenal. He's
Braden, Jude, and Cam, and then we got Last Resort. We played with them too. We saw you had Parks and Raz on too. I mean, there's
shout out to them.
Some amazing bands in this town, dude, and that's what's here right now. That's not what already has came through. I mean, from Limp Bizkit to Shinedown to Red Jumpsuit,
Yellow Card, whole deal.
A masquerade of amazing bands, amazing riffs. Shout out to Lifted Riffs. Hopefully we can set up ourselves above that. But to even be a band in Jacksonville at all under that umbrella is amazing. It's incredible.
That's awesome, man. Okay. I didn't come up in that scene like at all, like the punk world. It's totally foreign to me. Yeah. So, but that being said, it's a world that I find fascinating because it operates so differently than like the jam band or like the jazz and funk stuff that we kind of have been just operating in for however long.
I know what that jam band scene's like, man. It gets real funky real quick.
In every
20 minutes, the air
word.
Starts smelling a little.
Yeah.
Need to say more.
All right, guys. This episode's brought to you by Best Buds CBD Store. If you're like me, maybe THC isn't always the right high for you, or maybe the legal status of THC has you a bit hesitant to indulge. So at Best Buds CBD Store, they have an array of CBD and Delta 8 THC products. These guys truly care about their service, so everything is meticulously sourced and prepared to deliver a top-notch product and experience. If you head to their website, you'll find all kinds of educational information regarding Delta THC and CBD. Not to mention, if you use promo code BotBPod, that's BOTB pod, you'll save 10% on your order. This is not a one-time deal. If you use promo code BotBPod, every time you place an order with Best Buds, it will give you 10% off. That's in perpetuity, forever. So head over to bestbudscbdstore.com and start saving on all of your CBD and Delta 8 products. Enjoy, guys.
So I want to kind of dive into what the ecosystem of the punk world kind of looks like. First off, and I know that this is like a shitty question to ask because it's so generic, but I'm going to go ahead and ask because I feel like we can dive into a good conversation on it. To be a punk in 2023 and to operate in that world, what does that mean? Because the music varies, right?
It's easy. It's just the freedom to
not
do
comply. That is what that means.
It's just the freedom to do what you love. Dude, that to me is the most punk thing you can do because the world traditionally sets you against that. They want you to work. They want you to do a 9 to 5. They want you to make other people money, not yourself. They want you to make 1% to the 100%. And that's like, we can't be like that. So to me, that's the most punk thing ever, is to just figure out what is actually in here and what you are actually made of and do that. And it won't be the same thing. I've been to several different aspects of my life, but I went from art, painting and drawing, Florida School of the Arts, to music. So it's like it's in the same field, but it's a completely different aspect of work. But both of them allowed me to do what I love and to make my own schedule, to be able to spend time with my family, my friends, my band, my community, which now it's growing so fast. I mean, it's amazing. To me, that's everything. Anybody that wants to do what they love, just do it. Just do it. And it won't work out at first. I mean, I wish I could to just say, hey, it's going to work the first time you do it. It's going to be magical. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, you're not going to have to fail 100 times and make no pay and embarrass yourself in front of a couple of different people every different weekend. I promise
free
it's gonna
shows
be great.
are starting to hurt, man. I can't do any more of those. But to be at that point, but you have to be vulnerable enough and accountable and responsible and have the discipline enough to do those free shows or to do those free, hey, follow me, just cold. People say cold call, but just messaging, hey, please follow my band. We could use your support. We love the punk community. We love you guys. Please follow us. Like anything that you can just leech yourself onto. Like you have to be able to have the freedom to do what you love. You have to have the vulnerability to say, hey, I'm here. I want to do this. I don't know how exactly, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to start right here, right now. I mean, there's no better time than the present, and to me, that's punk from NoFX to Blink.
I will just reiterate, just do not comply. That's my whole statement. I don't think I have like a hypothesis of like what you should be. Like just be cool. Don't be rude to people that aren't you, and just do not comply. There you go.
Yeah, you can be rude to yourself.
Don't be rude to yourself. Don't be rude to people that aren't you, and don't live your same lifestyle. And we're all cool. And that's it.
Just be yourself, man. Be yourself. Do what you love, and do it good.
Oh, and if you see someone fall down the pit, you better pick them back up, or you're not punk. That was like second rule. Sorry.
Family. It's Fast and Furious right there.
Now
it's
what?
About family.
Now what if somebody wants to say, I don't want to comply with what you just said about being in the pit?
See, unfortunately, the pit is a part of that lifestyle, and if you haven't been in a pit, I feel like I can't.
I feel like it's to not pick somebody up.
If you weren't at least standing at least 3 feet from the pit, or at least you're not in the pit, like I can't. Like you need to know what that's like to know what that lifestyle is. Like that pit is like the heart and the core of us. Like if I know someone in that life has been elbowed in their chin by someone in the pit, and that's a lifestyle. That happens to everybody. That's happened to me.
They go right back to it,
and I fell down and they picked me up. So I mean, yeah.
I think they should. I think if it's punk to do it, if you don't pick somebody up, it's just rude.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what it boils down to is like you know that you're all in this together type thing.
Yeah.
Like we're here, whatever disagreements or whatever we have in real life is set aside. We can all agree that we love what's happening on stage right now, and we love this thing that's happening in the audience, and the respect aspect of it is like if you fall, we're not trying to hurt anybody. It's just about fun, and sometimes people get hurt.
Everybody gets rowdy, but everyone's safe at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, something else I've noticed in that scene that I've always found interesting is like, do you guys know Mikey, the promoter? He works at
I'm
Underbelly.
Very new here, so I don't know very many people.
Oh, he does Underbelly?
Yeah.
We usually talk with Jason, like Honeycut.
Gotcha.
I've heard the name. That's why I was like,
So he
does the promotions and booking around.
Yeah, he works with primarily everybody, but like primarily like hardcore bands, punk bands, metal bands. Like that's his world. So he was on our podcast a while back ago, and I asked him the same things. I'm interested in this idea of like, first off, when you guys do shows, a lot of times it's like 8 bands on the bill. You're playing like 20, 30-minute sets. So, and then what ends up happening is like if you're playing a place like Starbez or when Archetype was around or Shantytown, like these smaller rooms where, you might be able to, tops if you're selling tickets for $5 or $10 walk away with a gross of like $1,000, $1,500 if you're selling the room out. I'm not talking about for the whole night, the whole room, right? And then you got to split that up between, first off, your promoter takes.
Let's not confuse people here. It's $1,500 for all the bands, not just for you.
Yeah, exactly. So like promoters take their, whatever 10% off the top, and then you have taxes that the sales tax that they take out as well, and then you split it up amongst the bands, whatever percentages you guys work out. What's the model here to eventually make a profit for you guys?
I'd say the way we do it differently is setting ourselves up. I'd say doing the cover songs allowed us to grow a little bit differently than these other bands that are just doing original music.
Because you're hitting the bar scene and you're getting paid guarantees.
You're getting our feet in the door.
And people don't always want to hear just 2 full sets of originals. Doesn't matter how good you are. Sometimes people want to hear like specific songs. If they're at a bar, they want to hear like in their drinking, they want to hear like.
You got to tie it
Sometimes they want to hear Wagon Wheel.
There it is.
As much as I dislike that song, I will play it because sometimes people will throw money in the tip jar because it's like, we know it's not your set list, but if you can play it, we'll do it.
You got to build, and I think how we love doing it is we build the nostalgia with the covers. We kind of hit home to those people and touch, that might be like their anthem, but you would never get that response from them by just playing your originals because they don't know you.
Right.
You want them to know you, but you want to give them a reason to want to stay to know you.
The amount of times that we have played My Own Worst Enemy in the crowd,
yeah, that's what I was about to say.
That makes my day.
When we started out with My Own Worst Enemy, it kind of like, people are like,
wait a minute, what? They're starting with that? Wait, what? Hold on, wait.
This is a local band, but it's like that sound isn't local. That sound is worldwide. So as soon as they hear that, they tie in. And once they tie in, you hit them again with another cover like Teenage Dirtbag or all the small things. Scotty doesn't know. But then we throw Green in. And sometimes they don't even know that is an original song.
Right.
They're just going with the crowd because the crowd's saying, she said, like everybody's just.
They're all trying to now follow along to the
everybody's,
lyrics.
they're all like.
Famous song, yeah.
It's almost like a little bandwagon. Like everybody kind of hops on and then you just rock them the rest of the night. And it builds the nostalgia. You build a fan base. And I've had so many times where I've had people come up to me after the show and be like, hey, like that was my dad's favorite song. That was my mom's favorite song. And when I hear that now, it makes me think of her. She's been gone for 8 years. So it hits home to be able to build that connection with somebody, that relationship and that emotional vulnerability. All of that comes out when you do that stuff. So it allows us to maybe make a little bit more money, and then we can kind of like niche ourselves with the punk night stuff or the emo or the pop punk night and 90s night and 2000s. And we still get to throw our own original stuff in there, and they don't even know it.
Right.
It's just right there. So it allows us to make a little more money, be in the bar scene, like you said, and kind of get more exposure in that regard. And I guess the next step is like festivals.
Yeah, that's the next step. Is like getting all of like the favorite bands that we've had the chance to play with and be like, hey, can we all like try and get some slots on a festival, even if it's like a small one? Like we did First Coast Music Festival. That was like the first one that we got to do. And, and it was fun. They did it at was it like 3 locations or was it 2? Was it just?
It was 2. They did it at Underbelly in 1904 before it closed down.
It was the last show in 1904. I think. I don't know if it was the last show or second to last show. My bad.
Yep.
And I mean that was like just the turnout for the entire like festival just all around was really good. Like I mean there was trucks everywhere. There was stuff set up. I mean I got a lot of free energy drinks that day. There was a lot of free bucked up people out there being like, "Hey, you want some stuff?"
Came out. Sunburn Cannabis. I knew you were wearing
they gave
that
me
shirt earlier.
I was wearing the. I was actually about to do this to my shirt, and I realized I switched out before I got here. So I was wearing a Sunburn shirt because during my set, they were like, "Hey, whatever, you want to sign up?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, okay, why not?" And and I'm like, I'm getting like done with my set. And of course, I had taken my shirt off like halfway through. I'm sweaty. The lights were hitting me like way too hard that day. It was already hot as is. I'm getting done with my set, and I'm about to put the sweaty shirt back on. And one of the dudes who was talking to me before comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, man, you want a shirt that's not sweaty?" I'm like, "For sure." And I've been wearing that shirt like every day. Anymore. It's my favorite shirt. People will like walk up to me in the store and be like, "Do you work there?" I'm like, "No."
I don't.
That happens. And it's funny because I look like I do too. If someone sees me in a store with like the long hair, and they're like, okay, dude, what's up with that? You got to work there. Come on, what are you talking about?
CEO.
I was just at Underbelly.
A friend of a friend.
I was just at Underbelly like last week, and I was wearing the Sunburn shirt, and somebody was like, "Hey man, are you guys still hiring?" And I was like,
reach out to Terry and he'll get you linked in.
I will give you the fakest number, and I will hope it works.
At first, I was like, "Are you talking like do you have you listened to the podcast? Are you asking about working on the podcast? Because I mean, I'll hire you, but I can't pay you anything.
It's an internship, man. I really hope you.
And I was like, and then he was
we
like,
do not give you college credit for this.
and he starts naming people at Sunburn. When I asked him is who hiring? He's like, I forget the guy's name. I'm like, no, dude, like where are you talking about? It's like Sunburn. You don't work there? And I was like, oh no, I'm just wearing the shirt, bro.
Reps.
Like, it's
Need
so wild.
If they do ambassadorships, we've got 2 people. I'll be a third. I don't know if you want to hop on too. Sunburn Cannabis. We need endorsements.
Yeah, we need sponsors also.
Oh yeah,
that's the big one. That's the one I'm trying.
He's talking with SJC drums and Collision drumsticks. So I think that's going to be a really cool one.
I'm trying to get in talks with Remo. So Remo Percussion, if you're hearing this,
cool one too.
Get at me, please.
Yeah, they're big supporters of the
I've used a lot of heads
Of
over the
course.
years.
Everybody
It's getting
is.
pricey.
It's bottom of the bill. We've been excited to come on here. I mean, and we've got this, and then we got tomorrow. We're doing First Coast News.
Yeah,
First Coast
I
Living.
forgot we have to do the news tomorrow.
So we're
You guys
getting
making the rounds.
minimal sleep tonight, and then
minimal sleep.
a couple gigs this week. We're doing Island Wing Co., like a happy hour acoustic little unplugged set Wednesday. Friday we've got Voussoir, which I think the layout of Voussoir and the culture there is really cool. It's got a lot of history back on like towards Atlantic Beach.
Yeah.
And then we're playing Monkey's Uncle on Saturday right there in
that just got added.
and Mandarin.
Right out of the blue.
Texted us last night, so thank you, Justin, for that.
Wait, who? Wait.
Texted us for Monkey's Uncle.
Oh, I was gonna say. I thought you said
No. I'm excited. And Justin, the producer for First Coast Living, and David Benfield, he's in the band Dakar.
Yep,
He's
Chef
actually
Dakar.
the host of the show. So we're excited to come on. And even this, and I know Rick Rice at EWM Studios. I mean, he's just from, I don't know him personally, but just from what I've heard and read and seen, and it's very good good studio, good quality work. And then we saw, I think Parks and Raz is the reason we saw Bottom of the Bill, but once we did, we were like, this is really cool. It's a place we can go to be ourselves and talk about the community. And
That's everything we're trying to do, bro. You know,
it's amazing.
It's cool because like we started off as like a jam band centric kind of podcast.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
because
cool.
that's the world that you know I come from. Well, you know, at least in the more recent years. So, and then it got like, first off, you can only talk to so many people in the jam band scene in Jacksonville. There's not that many people anymore. And then also, I'm just interested in other things and other genres of music, and I'm, you know, there's like every scene kind of has its own way of operating, right?
Right, yeah.
You know, like the punk scene and the metal scene, and like there's an ecosystem that I don't understand, that I'm curious about. The hip hop world, don't even get me started on how that world operates in a totally different plane, I feel like, which I'm also curious about.
Yeah.
So it's fun to get to like sit down, especially with the up and coming bands, to get to like see what's happening in their world and, you know, on the ground that, you know, we might not be aware of, you know, because there's a lot here in Jacksonville. There's a ton here in Jacksonville. So
a lot of
it's
history,
cool.
man. And it really takes time to learn and appreciate that history, because we still learn every day. I mean, every gig is learning for us. Going to different venues, going to different cities, all right here. When we come back to Jacksonville, there's just something different about it. It's got so much culture, so much history, from the beach life to the downtown, like Riverside, Avondale, everyday life, and 5 Points. Or
I think I can recognize 2 of the areas. That
yeah, Dorian's still new.
I'm still
Dorian's
very
like
new.
there's a beach and then there's not a beach.
Yeah, like
that's
it's beach and
Jacksonville.
not beach. That's
Dude,
pretty much how I recognize it.
People here are very serious about their areas too. I'm from South Florida originally, so I first came to Jacksonville. Like down south, there are different areas, and like people do kind of, but if like kind of if you grow up in South Florida, like everyone goes to the beach, so there's not really. And if you live at the beach, like you're rich. You have a lot of money if you live
what
at the
I've noticed
beach.
real quick is getting down here, especially over by Jack's Beach. It's just if you want to live by the beach, you have to make over like at least $10,000 a month.
But that's now though. It didn't used to be like that when I first got here. So to me, when I met people that lived at the beach, I was like, oh, you must be rich. It's like, no, I'm a bartender. Like, wait, what? It's like you're a bartender that lives at the beach. And then it's like, and then also beach people are very like, we don't go over the ditch. We don't do that. The fucking townies come into Jack's Beach and like ruin the whole thing. And it's like this whole weird thing that that dynamic doesn't exist like in other places the way that it does here. I feel like,
It's unique.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Cool to know though, because I mean, coming from Jacksonville my whole life, it's even still for me, it's like some people live on the beach and it's like, or they say they do, and they live like 2-3 minutes from it. But to even be down there at all, where the fluctuation of the housing, because I did real estate for about a year, but there are some houses over there that are like 1, 2, 3 million, and then there are some that are like 212,000. Like, it's like there's a big difference between those, and then they're renting them out. So it's like anybody can kind of live down there, but at a point of living on the beach, no, I would say Jacksonville isn't really like economically set for that. I mean, I hope that we can bring some more light to Jacksonville as far as what we do in the punk community, just to have a voice, but to get Jacksonville kind of back on the map in the regard of we do need help in a way, in a lot of different ways.
Oh man, yeah.
But I think that if we just start somewhere, whether it's at the beach side and they're trying to save the life out there, or whether we're downtown and we're trying to build something for all these people down here that are struggling and homeless and wondering what they're going to do today, tomorrow. Like, I at least know what I'm doing, like some people don't know where they're going or where they're staying or even where they're at right now. Some people are just lost, but I feel like to have a voice in Jacksonville and bring some more light and some more love to these people in these places, even like 1904, or Archetype. I know you mentioned them earlier. To see places like that close, I mean, as an artist, you don't want that because it hits home in a way.
It's a huge blow to the community, man. I mean, I was in LA when I found out about 1904 closing. So I mean, you're like looking in this. You're in this. I mean, LA is like this huge city with like this immense, endless opportunity for artists, you know, and then you're looking at your hometown and you're like, oh man, another venue just shut down. In fact, the only venue that I was able to really play at outside of like Underbelly, So it's like, damn, dude, it's just, it was a big hit to the community. And shout out to Jason and Dwayne for always trying to keep music alive here and the arts going. Jacksonville is a super hard place to try and be an artist, and not because there's not talent here, but the market here, the people here.
There's just so much talent though too, and it's almost like,
I really do think so.
God, I'm almost starting to feel like it's being like an overabundance of talent, and I'm like, can we all start convening in separate sectors of the state? Like, can we all...
Well, it's hard because we don't have enough venues.
We don't.
And more and more
supply
keep closing down.
And here's the, and maybe you guys will agree or disagree. You can let me know, but I'm curious. I'm curious about your thoughts on it, because here's what I think. I think we have a lot of artists, a lot of musicians that are very talented that all are looking for an opportunity. Venues are shutting down though because we don't have a market here. First off, there's less than 1 million people in Jacksonville. It's a very small city. And the people that are here are more like blue collar. Like the industry here is very blue collar. Yeah. So they're not necessarily thinking about like what's the next hot thing coming out right now.
Like, who am I going to go see play on a Saturday night?
Right.
18-year-old band am I going to go see tonight?
Right. So which is why the venues keep shutting down, which makes it harder for the musicians that are here to have a place to develop their sound and their show. So I think that's really like the biggest issue here, and I say that with like a perspective of wanting to see a change, because Jacksonville has been so good to me, and I think there are people here that want to see progress made in that front, but the majority of people here just are thinking about other things. It's not on their radar,
Yeah, well, I mean, and I can understand that. I mean, how was it I mean, you came from Kentucky.
Well, I mean, even,
that was big.
Even before that, I mean, my sister and my mom have lived here for like quite a few years, even before I moved here. So I was hearing about all the major changes that were going on here. So I think maybe all the venues thought like the blue collar lifestyle would kind of be like more of a half and half, or like more people would want to come out and see bands, and maybe they kind of miss input, and now some more venues are closing down because they bit off a little more they can chew, and that kind of sucks. And you know, there's, like I said, there's a lot of bands, but there's not that many venues that want to do certain shows, like punk shows or anything like that. Like,
well, yeah, because you have to have
a few in between.
You have to have a venue that wants to operate on ticket sales in that world, because a punk band, traditionally, you guys are obviously doing things a little differently, but traditionally speaking, punk bands aren't playing for more than 20 or 30-minute sets. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then furthermore, I mean, and that's for a lot of different reasons, but I think a big part of it is just the energy that you expend playing the music.
I can see that.
It's hard.
Oh, yeah, dude, 45 minutes after a set, no, I have to be carried off that stage.
Yeah. So the idea of a band walking into a Monkey's Uncle and doing a 4-hour night is not feasible, much less do people want to hear that for 4 hours. Right?
Yeah.
I still think I think the difference was, I guess, between once Archetype closed, that was kind of when my eyes opened, because I missed out on that, dude. And I kind of hate that. Like, I really do think that they had something going there that could last. And I think because of, like, Jacksonville as a city, and I know that you have certain costs, certain taxes, and certain areas that are more than others. So I'm sure that plays into it, especially with the whole the parking situation downtown.
It's hard, yeah.
And I know 1904 was dealing with that too. So, and they're not making enough money because they're only open for the bands, you know. So, but I know they're remodeling to kind of be a more versatile venue at that point. But I hope that more people see what happened to 1904 and Archetype and say, hey, one, I need to do better as a venue, to say, hey, we want you here playing at our venue instead of these other venues. Give us a reason to want to play there.
Well,
like that was my big thing.
So I'm curious. Okay, and I think I know where you're going with this. If I'm off base, let me know. The pay structure there is obviously going to be different than what it's going to be at a standard bar, right?
100% different.
Now but that's because they're different business models, right?
Exactly.
So, Monkey's Uncle is a restaurant, and a band is hired as contractors to come in and entertain their audience.
Their sales. They base it off their sales at the end of the night.
Exactly.
And that's what guarantees more money or less money at the end of the night.
Right. And you know, furthermore, a bar or restaurant that asks you how many people you're bringing out tonight, huge red flag. If you can't afford to have music, then don't have music, period.
That's a very common conversation we have had sometimes. Yeah, he's trying not to laugh. I'm trying to not
gotten that text so
call
many
anyone
times.
out or anything. But
how many people do you think you're going to bring?
Yeah,
bro,
dude.
How many people do you have?
Yeah.
Do you have
even
zero? Are we starting at zero and we're building up? You've got 3, I've got 6.
I've heard that in Louisville so many times, and it was usually bars that either would be shifty on paying their bands or taking more money for the door fee, or it was
it's every city everywhere in America and in the world, I'm sure, has the same dynamic with bars and restaurants, with that misinformed.
It's a very tricky
thing.
business type.
It's tricky. Now, 1904 is a music venue, so they're essentially a space that you can rent out for things, right? Now, when they're bringing in headlining acts that they're going to guarantee sell out the show, they might, I'm sure that they're going to offer them a guarantee, or they'll negotiate some guarantee plus a split on the back end of something, right? Now, that's the model. And for 1904 to exist, it needs to have X amount of sold out shows per year. Yeah. Right now, when it's not hitting that mark, it's going to shut down. I've done so much work at 1904 over the years. I have so much love for Jason and Chris Richard, and he was doing his thing there, and Mikey, everybody that's worked there over the years. I've so much love for them. I don't know what they could have really done differently.
No.
I think, and the parking situation downtown, okay, but New York.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay. So that's an irrelevant argument to me.
Yeah.
Right. The parking issue. When people complain about stuff like, oh, we can't open up something like this in Riverside because of the parking. Dude, shut up.
Exactly.
Okay, it's small-minded thinking. But that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Is that Jacksonville is still behind in a lot of ways in that front. People do not want to be inconvenienced for an experience. It's risk averse.
It's too much risk.
Right. So we need to. I don't want to say we need to, right? Because that's not the way to say it. But
we want to.
As a community, it's an imperative that we actually bite the bullet and become less risk averse, so we can allow our artistic community to grow. Because I truly believe that if you want to see the sign of a thriving community is a strong arts community, right?
Always.
Now we can look at LA and New York and we can be like, well, those cities are in despair, and that might be true to an extent, but it's also like
it's a lot of different things going into that.
A lot of things going into that, and dude, I don't care what disparity is happening there. You're talking about California has like the 5th largest economy in the world, like only less, just barely under the United States. So it's like there's so much money there, right? And there's money there because people like invest into things. And the reason why art and just the arts in general in New York and LA and Nashville now like thrives so much is because people care about it.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a foundation of care and love and respect, but also it was kind of like I'd look at it as a hotspot. Like it was kind of one of those places where Jacksonville kind of got left behind.
Yeah, totally.
Back in the 90s, 2000s, I feel like everywhere else in that regard kind of kept going, but I feel like Seattle and then got left behind after that big explosion, and then Jacksonville after its big explosion. I mean, Creed, Limp Bizkit, Shine Down, Red Jumpsuit, Yellow
Creed
Card.
from here?
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee.
They're in Florida though, but that whole Northeast.
I forget that because I'm not even. Like,
Yeah,
Well,
or
yeah,
Less
he
Than
loves
Jake too.
Creed.
Less Than Jake was
And-
from here. A Day to Remember's from here.
Newfound Glory from Orlando.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
so to have all of this Northeast Florida buzz, and then now there's just
like none of it.
kind of nothing here in that regard.
now to be sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but no, not nothing here in the regard of like there is no talent or there is no
There's an
bands.
extreme abundance of
There's
talent, but there's
hundreds of artists here that are begging for that chance, but they are not financially able because of the economy to take the risk to be vulnerable. But we are. I don't know how we are. Sometimes I'm like, man, how am I can't afford this. Yeah, I can't afford this, but I'm going to do it anyways because I know it's going to pay off because I believe in what we do.
Yeah.
And that comes back to just being punk. Like, I'm going to make it work. I don't know how, but I know that if I keep trying to, somehow I'm going to get a step closer and a step closer. And that's kind of why we started Palooza Jacks. It's not a venue. It's pretty much like a party, you know, like we bring the community of the emo, the punk, the grunge, the metal, even hip hop. We've had hip hop on there too. We bring that community together, and it doesn't matter where we do it at that point, we're going to have a show. And I think that is the way the world is kind of shifting to now, is away from venues, away from local places, away from mom and pop, and it's more mainstream or DIY.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. If that's what it is, then that's what it takes. Then that's what you have to do that.
You just have to adapt to whatever
You
the
do.
model is, or try and innovate in the space where
Just like 1904, they're adapting to come back next year to be stronger than they were, to have a better foundation, and I hope we get to be a part of something like that again, because it meant a lot to us in the community, being so young and so new to it, to be at a place where, you know, like Seven Dust played at Underbelly, Buck Cherry just played at Underbelly, like to have just those two alone and to walk behind those and to be like, hey, we're on the same stage, like this is so cool. To us, that matters a lot, but we want more attention for the local community, especially like Parks and Raz, Mommy's Little Helpers, Chalk Tiger. I could name bands forever, Last Resort, Talk-a-Lots. Like there's just a lot of raw talent. But even on the hip hop side, like with Young Drew, Christian hip hop, it's even hard for him to do what he does. He's having to go out of Jacksonville to kind of grow on a better audience, because the exposure rating and everything in Jacksonville is just low.
It's low, and I think that like traveling and touring is just a part of it anyways. I think you have to like get known in other markets, but it is, you know, like the rule of thumb, typically speaking, is like get popular in your hometown first and then start to hit the road.
Right.
I don't know. That's a hard dynamic to make happen in Jacksonville right now. If you're in like Denver, okay, which Denver has a great scene, but not really a lot of industry, right? So it's like, you know, there's not infrastructure in the way that like LA or New York has infrastructure to grow, right? But Denver's a big city and it's got a good scene. So if you can weed out the bullshit and stand out amongst a scene of like super creative people, and then in a big city where like Denver has a voice in music, right? Like when people talk about the Denver scene, you're like, yeah, that matters, right? That matters. So like,
I keep saying it. It's my girlfriend's name. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I had every Denver has a voice. And I'm like, sometimes.
It's funny that we even talk about like different music scenes in different states that like have a lot of talent but not like a huge like amount of voice. It's kind of how I feel about Louisville. Like until people heard about like Jack Harlow or Bryson Tiller, nobody really knew what Louisville was. And then everyone's like, oh, okay. Apparently, like Louisville's one of the most like searched places to travel. Like it's been that way for like the last like couple of years. And I like found that out like a little while ago, and I'm like, have you ever been to Louisville? Do you know what that's like? It's not. Well, the Kentucky Derby's there, and everyone thinks. This is a little secret. Okay, so from someone who's lived there for so many years, let me say this right now. If you think going to the Kentucky Derby is like this really fancy area, it's not. Yeah. Don't fool yourself. Lock all of the things you have either on you or in your car. The Derby is not a posh neighborhood.
Yeah,
it's very like
racetracks never are, dude.
I went to
always like the worst neighborhood.
I went to a haunted house like a couple blocks down the street, like last Halloween, like around that time, and that's like right by the Derby. And I was like driving by the area, and I'm like, oh, I forgot this was like not a place I could walk by. Like at night, I forget like how bad it gets, and it's like, you know, you go to Louisville and you see all these different bands, and you're like, there's like a lot of really good bands and a lot of like really good like niche, like people have like really good niches for their bands there. It's really weird, like, but then there's not a whole lot of venues. Like there's maybe like 3 or 4. Like if I had to name a couple, like Portal in Portland. Headliners Music Hall, I got to play there, and Portal too. But you got Whirling Tiger, Phoenix Hill, which is no longer around, which used to be this huge like 3-story building with bands playing everywhere. It's basically like Kid Rock's in Nashville, like stuff like that. And it was, I never got to play there. I was too young to even be able to step foot in that building. But my dad got to play there a couple times, and the stories are like, the place is insane. So it's very few industries in between, but there's so much talent. It's insane.
It's a story of most cities in America, man, where it's like you have a lot of talent, but again, it's like what industry is thriving there, right? If arts is thriving, then you might have like some people or entities are willing to invest into creative endeavors. You know, Austin, Denver, you know, places like that, Chicago, I'm sure. Like
great scene in Chicago, but barely any showing for it, unfortunately.
That one blows me out of the water, because it's like at one point Chicago, I mean it's the second city,
that
right?
It was punk city. That was like almost to a point where it was like
it was punk at one point. Before that, you know, blues and jazz. I mean, like
heavily.
I mean, it's almost the birthplace, depending on who you talk to, of blues and jazz. You know, so like but like in places like that, because there's also just like so many people, so it's like because there's so many people, that brings diversity, and with diversity comes art. So it's like, you know, it's harder. Like the industry in Jacksonville is not necessarily doesn't revolve around the arts, right?
It's not accustomed to the arts as much as it is the blue collar and sports lifestyle,
which is fine. But for and I want to say that I'm not disparaging anything. It's just I was just acknowledging that it's difficult to be an artist here.
It is,
and I was speaking to somebody about it like a year ago or something, and I was like, I don't know, you know, Jacksonville. At one point, I think it's still up there as one of the fastest growing cities in the country. And the point that she made was like, yeah, but who's moving here? Bingo, that's the answer.
Everyone had this argument between people, all the people moving from LA to Nashville.
Yeah.
And that was like a huge surge. Like,
Yeah.
like Chris Cornell's family moved even like before he even passed away. He moved to Nashville like with his whole estate, and like that was, I heard about that, and I'm like, I thought every famous person lived in LA. There was nowhere else, and I realized everyone was just going straight to Nashville
After COVID. Yeah, I mean, it's the taxes. It's expensive to live.
It's so much cheaper to live in Nashville than it is to LA, and even though Nashville is, music, Broadway and all that, it's definitely not as expensive as rent is there in like LA.
No, it's not. And also if you're a musician, like Nashville has a big industry,
the Broadway scene, I love it so much. I have so many friends there, and I just desperately want to move there in the next like couple of years and just do Broadway for like just 4 days out of the week. Just have a part-time job, because that's what usually people do. They have a part-time job, then they'll do like like a Wednesday through a Saturday, like couple shifts a day, and I just want to do shifts all day. I just want to work like 4 or 5 days a week.
They give you enough to survive out there.
Work at 2 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to close. Do the whole.
But the versatility to be able to say, hey, like I worked my job, but the music, no matter if I stop, that music keeps going in a place like that. But the difference is in Jacksonville, if we stop doing what we do and we stop playing our music, or bands like, once again, like Parks and Raz, or any of us stop what we're doing, or even the home shows, the DIY shows, that's kind of it. Like you've got Underbelly and Jackrabbits, and everywhere else is starting to close. It's getting kind of sad down here, and I know that there's a lot of like Create Jacks and Downtown Jacks, DT Jacks, they're funding the skateboard park under the bridge. I hope I get to like live there part time. I can't even skate, dude, but I just want to be there with that community and learn more about that community and those people, and grow and let those people know that yes, this is comfortable and this can be home for you, but anywhere that Lifted Riffs can be, you're welcome. Everybody's welcome. And I want that. I want the DIY shows. I want to be able to go to venues, and with maybe we have the niche like punk nights, and we kind of use that to get in the door to make a little more money than just playing like an original set for 30 minutes. We play for like an hour and a half with some covers thrown in and originals. But when we come home and we do our home shows, like, to me, like none of that matters at that point. It's all friends. Like you're just a community who's all there for one goal, and that's to forget about the 9 to 5, to forget about the trouble or the emotions or the trauma or anything, and just enjoy music or art, or like even the artwork you have up here. Like, it catches the eye. It's pleasing. It's comforting. It's the same thing for music. You create, even if it's 30 minutes, you create 30 minutes of hope for anybody to say, hey, I came in here with such negative energy, but now I have this positive energy to kind of give back to my own world and my own family and my own friends. And all of that was because of art or because of music. And I feel like if we had more places to do that, or more people that cared enough to be open-minded to do more DIY stuff and have more house shows or house venues or just pop-up shows, like anything that we can do to say we're here, we want to be there, but there doesn't matter if here doesn't help.
Right.
Like it's all going to be Jacksonville. Like when I know you're Michigan and Kentucky.
I'm
but
very much Michigan and Kentucky boy as much as I am.
And my bass player's Tennessee, Knoxville. But shout out to JohnMichael. He's at Community First right now working.
He's at work.
But
not very punk rock of him. But
he's
at a bank.
He's got the bass in his lap and he's just playing. And he's like, "Thank you for calling. You want a credit card?
My name is JohnMichael.
You want to hear my new song?"
Now, funny, he works at Community First.
Yeah.
Okay.
Downtown.
Now, funny thing. I only know this because I tried to open up a credit account with them a while back for the band. Like credit cards with them aren't like actually acknowledged by the credit. overseeing credit union or whatever it is.
So it just like doesn't count.
Doesn't count. It only counts with them technically. So like it does if you want to buy a house or get a loan from like an actual bank, like that credit that you establish with them.
So it's like a Monopoly credit card.
Yeah. So it is kind of punk rock if you think about it. He works at a local credit union where their credit is not acknowledged by the federal government.
JohnMichael,
I love how
the system.
So like he'll wear these he'll wear the button ups to shirt, or he'll wear the button ups to work and everything, and he'll come to the show afterwards and he's dressed and like he's still got his lanyard on and he looks all kind of snazzy, and he'll just unbutton the shirt and then he's just like, all right, I'm here.
He's like, I'm here. I'm ready to rock. Let's go.
I'm ready to rock and
even
roll.
if he gets there 10 minutes before because he gets off of work. But to me, like that's it. It's punk. It's what we love to do. It's really a family thing. I mean, without the community that we already have created or have in general from what we didn't create, because there was a community here and there always will be, and we didn't start that. But I do appreciate them enough to say, hey, like if you still want a place to belong, I'll be that place. I'll be there with you. It doesn't even have to be Lifted Riffs. It can be just Jacksonville in general, but let's try a little harder to do what we love and push those arts out, so that way these people under us, under our umbrella now, can grow as well and create their own umbrellas. And that's just how it happens. Like I feel like if those bands that came from Jacksonville stood up for Jacksonville and came back to Jacksonville and gave us something as a platform to give, they would not regret it. I mean, everybody here would come forward hand in hand to say, like, we're here. We want you to be here too. I mean, I know some bands leave and then they'll claim other places like LA or like Texas. I know you said Austin,
we played
Texas.
3 shows in
like
LA. That's my home city.
Yeah, like I moved to LA. No, bro, you're Jacksonville punk, dude. You're a little Duval kid, like from Arlington or like from the beach side, from corner of Cherry Street,
from the Bay Meadows area.
from the, you know, like all these. If they would just come back and say, hey, like we came from here, we see you, we see what you're doing, and we know that Jacksonville's lacking in these things. We have the means to help. Let us help. Even if they're not from Jacksonville, obviously that means a lot to us, but to support the bands here from the bands that were here, that did do it and are there, when I get there, I'm going to come back. I'm going to help these bands. I'm going to be a staple in Jacksonville to say, hey, if you need help, if you want promotion, if you want just a place where you feel like you matter, let me help you. Let me help you get that music out there. Let me help you with a flyer. Let me help you with T-shirts. Let me help you with, like, start somewhere. Let me help you start. It's all these bands that did it. They didn't do it for, like, community bands or local bands. Like, I know, like, Korn helped in that sense, if you look at it. Like, Korn helped Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit helped Stained, and then Puddle of Mud. None of those came from Jacksonville. They didn't help those Jacksonville bands, to me, in that regard. But to have those bands come back and be able to shine a light on the people that are here right now asking, hey, we have this talent, and we want to use it, and we want a platform to grow on and to be heard. That's it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great.
I wonder how much of it is like bands, because those guys are from, a lot of those guys are from Jacksonville, but like they also go to like these other cities at, you know, kind of early on in their career before they get discovered, and then they get discovered out there, and then they're kind of
part of that
ecosystem. Yeah. And then so you start to like come up with these other kids or people that are your age, kind of on the same kind of come up.
Right.
And then the resources that you get, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to help out my friends that I'm coming up with in this scene now. Yeah. And then there's almost like this thing. It's like, well, and this is a story old as time, because like Leonard Skinner talked about it too, where like Jacksonville rejected us. And then we moved and we got accepted here. So like, why are we going to come back and try and do something?
Yeah, we don't want your approval now that we already like knew what we were worth.
Exactly.
I completely understand that, man. And I'm sure it happens all the time everywhere. You know, I mean, because I feel like people can't appreciate something until it's gone.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't.
That's genuinely the like rule of life. You just usually take it for granted until it's gone.
If we in hindsight can say, I'm ready to appreciate it now. I'm ready to come back, or I'm ready to push forward. And because, I mean, Leonard Skinner, they were even out in Green Cove Springs. Nobody really knows what Green Cove Springs is at all,
That's
or Hell
over, like,
House,
by
or anything.
Middleburg, isn't it? It's like over.
Exactly. Yeah, that's out by.
See, I knew that. I knew that
Is
geography.
that east, west, south, north? But
you said
like people
west.
don't know those. So, yeah, I thought you said west. But they come up to tie themselves to something like Jacksonville, and even that community doesn't accept them. I understand that. Like we had people telling us that you're never going to play in Jacksonville. You're never going to be good enough to play in Jacksonville. What is good enough to play in Jacksonville?
Yeah.
What's the
What does that mean?
yeah.
I'm sorry, but to me, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to play anywhere. If I never play anywhere again, it doesn't matter. But as long as my music reaches people, however that reaches people, that's what matters. Because that's the family you built with the community. Like playing at all these places, it matters to an extent, but doing it for yourself and just being there and really reaching out and talking to people and growing is big for us. And connection, and it's all who you know. And I've learned that along the way too. It is always who you know.
Yeah, genuinely, that's a rule of tip for musicians. If you're,
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much talent you have, if you don't know anyone, dude, you have like a 0.0001% chance of really, unless you play some open mic night in like New York one night, and there's like some promoter like, oh,
Or
that guy
you
was
get
good.
lucky.
Yeah,
I
it's
hate
very-
that. I hate that phrase,
It's
get lucky.
a slim, tiny hair chance. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
because here's the get lucky thing is what it actually is the knowing the right people scenario, but then also having the talent to back it up.
Exactly.
Because yes, if you don't have the talent, or you can have all the talent in the world, if no one knows who you are, it doesn't really
Nobody
matter.
matters.
That being said, it doesn't mean that you can be untalented and be in that scenario.
Because there are plenty of people who have so many connections, but they're just slightly, like, even just below average, that where they can still make it. And it just, autotune's a great
enough.
thing. Autotune's a very magical thing.
Okay,
And-
so
magical thing.
here's something that might be a little unpopular
So
among
is FL
people.
Studios.
Well, I don't think that because you use autotune makes you not talented. I will say that you're probably using it like let's say there's a lot of different reasons to use it, okay? But like if you're using it because you're not a good singer,
Right.
that's okay.
That's kind of the point that I was,
But it doesn't mean that you're not talented. It just means that maybe singing isn't your strong suit, but somehow you're
Exactly.
singing on the song. You could be a phenomenal producer, right?
So I'm going to tell someone when they're playing the triangle, maybe this just isn't your strong suit. Maybe
Yeah.
this just isn't your strong
Rock
suit.
that thing.
So I feel like you need to be talented in some capacity in order to utilize those contacts.
Yeah.
Which is what all luck is. It's opportunity and preparation.
Every-
I tell
you know.
people it's like if you have any sense of rhythm, you have a very good chance of at least learning like one instrument, whether that be like piano or bass, even drums, like guitar, like anything. If you have any sense of rhythm, like that's the first step into trying to learn anything music wise.
100%.
Like if you can't keep to a beat and you're one of those people in the crowd and we're trying to do like the clap chants and you're doing it like a half step way before me, no, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
You like have to naturally have
I'm trying
a
to play
little bit of rhythm in
the
your body.
chords
Like,
and
yeah.
stay in key, and I hear this one. You hear this almost like a little double clap, and you're just like, oh man,
It's
like
not. There's no double clap.
if you guys are gonna clap, like we'll practice first, and then we'll do the real thing.
I played a gig one time, and we had this song that had like a break in it. Okay, it was just like I don't know, like broke for like a measure or something, and somebody was like clapping along to the rhythm, and then when we hit the break, they started clapping like off time. It train wrecked our fucking.
That is a PTSD.
Your
sound in my
psyche,
head.
Yeah.
you hear that clap, and you're like,
I was like, oh fuck. Because the thing is, it's like, okay, it's one thing to like, it's one thing to be like, hip and polyrhythmic and like to keep the one, right? But like when somebody's just playing like out of time and it's like you're so focused and you just hear that thing, and I totally lost the one and just totally trained.
Yeah,
wrecked
when they
coming
start
back into
clapping on the
song.
two and not the one, that's when I start getting PTSD. I'm like, all right, we need to stop, just real quick, stop.
Oh,
Stop clapping.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. I was like, dude, I mean, like, you're the only person here. Please don't clap. Please don't clap in the middle of the
Just
song.
wait until we're done.
Until we're done. There's no rhythm for clapping at the end. Just clap.
Thanks, Mom.
You guys familiar with Unpopular Opinions?
I'm not, but I'm down to get familiar
Saw you
with
do
it.
a couple on the on the
Okay.
page. Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
I'm
So-
cool with it.
So we basically just go around, we state an unpopular opinion, we discuss it, and then, you know.
Love this.
I'm down.
Okay.
Chris, you want to go?
All right. Rock stars that have hit their prime 30 plus years ago are not in the best place to be giving advice to up and coming bands in our landscape. And this all stems from, I saw a video of Dave Grohl saying that the best way to promote and do anything like that is just playing live shows. And all I could think was, how out of touch is this guy? Of course, he would think the best way to promote is playing in front of 60,000 people every night. That's great, dude. That's not going to work for bands that have 10 people in their audience. There's better ways to promote.
There is.
They're just out of touch rock stars. Don't get your advice from the mega stars. Like, follow their path, learn what they did, but they're not in the same landscape as us anymore. They're just in a different world.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm itching. I don't know if the camera can see.
I love
itching
Dave
to
Grohl.
answer
I'll
this.
start
The
there.
second I heard it, I was like, I know exactly.
And
So-
Nirvana.
So
Foo
okay,
Fighters.
Metallica recently made like a resurgence with the 72 Seasons. Was that what it's called? 72 Seasons album. I can't remember what's something. I didn't listen to it, but so when I hear people like him, and any chance that he ever tries to be like, yeah, man, you need to practice and just get out there. I'm like, you don't even practice. What are you?
Yeah.
Do you hear yourself? Like,
I mean, he
I've seen people
probably-
play your kit better than you can. Like,
He probably doesn't need to practice anymore. Not to say that you shouldn't always be striving to be better, but
Yeah.
also, like, he's not playing with anybody else other than Metallica.
Right.
And he's got that shit on lock. And
I just
they're
love all the Lars
selling
memes
out-
where he's like completely off time, but he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's always, I love that.
And to the point of like older musicians giving advice on stuff. I mean, I agree. I think a lot of the times they're missing, like, there's a lot, like, you hear like Dave Chappelle was commenting on Andrew Schultz also, and like saying about, I'm just not about all that social media stuff. You just gotta you just gotta perform and do your thing, and comedy will sell itself.
So you came before the time of actual social media where
Exactly.
everything's changed now.
And even Joe Rogan was like, yeah, but dude, we came up in a different time, and we don't have to play this game anymore.
I love Joe.
You know?
I love
Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah.
Joey
Wow.
Diaz was like my absolute favorite.
amazing.
One of his guests.
Yeah,
Joey
yeah, he's
Diaz.
great. But I like how Joe Rogan's of Chappelle's generation
He's
and
respecting
and
the change.
He's like, hey man, we're lucky we don't have to do this. Schultz is changing the game
Yeah,
right now.
exactly.
And he's doing what he's doing. So I think for someone like Dave Grohl to come in and say, you just gotta play shows, that's how you do it. To that, to the other end of that though, I do think that the best form of promo is the thing doing what it does. So so the best way to promote yourself is, yes, to put on a great show. However, it's not the only thing that you should be doing. You have to be utilizing social media and the different platforms.
There's just so many different
Yeah.
steps just to really get your name out there. Even if you play a great show, if you don't have any social media presence and no one follows you after the show, you're still just
We've
another
played
band
over
in the
100
shadows. Like,
over
it's-
100 shows, and the thing that has got us the most following was us being vulnerable and reaching out on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have a couple shows that have 200-300 people there, but they don't even remember that. They don't even know the band name, So when you do have those shows with those 10 to 20 people, it does mean a lot. It does. That's your super fans. That's what I like to call it. It's your super fan. It's your foundation. But it takes more to grow now because of that. Because if Dave Grohl says that, look at Seattle back then. Compared to Jacksonville, you had home shows and garage shows and punk shows. And you had people out there like Melvins and the Germs and stuff, like doing some amazing things. Like, we don't have that. We don't have the means of. We just have these all these hole in the wall places everywhere that we can perform at, and all these people that are going to come to all these shows. And it's social media. It's a presence of social media mixed with being in the community that is where I guess if you want to come from that place, or wherever you're locking into, you need to have a strong community presence without the music, a strong community presence with the music, a strong DIY presence now, but also a strong social media presence. If you have all of those things, you have the chance to grow. But that still doesn't mean you're going to grow.
Right.
If you don't work, it's not going to work.
It's just all about taking a chance.
It's all of it.
Yeah.
I also think that like that back in, you know, the 80s and 90s when he was coming up, like people just went to shows. That's what they did for
All the
entertainment.
time.
Yep.
And now it's and I would argue that it was probably not just Seattle. It was probably like everywhere that you went, people to entertain themselves on the weekends went out to go see bands play.
Yeah.
They knew where their spots
That's just
were gonna
what
be,
was
and they
cool.
were like,
Right.
okay, we'll convene here on
Look at-
Saturday or whatever.
Right.
Well,
And
Sunset Strip and stuff was like a couple years before that.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
you had the Sunset Strip growth of Guns N' Roses, and I mean that's always the one that'll stand out for me. But then you went to that Green River, Mudhoney, Soundgarden, Nirvana, Melvins, Tad, and that kind of, they all had like a community, friends. Some of them were still in school, so they had all these like high school kids coming out and all these different things, and even parents were coming out to the shows and stuff. But I guess here in Jacksonville, we don't have that kind of like maybe touch, maybe outreach. Maybe we're not doing our job as good as we could do our job, because I will always say that at the end of the day, I will always be able to do better at growing in what I do. But if we could get more support from the community, we've even lowered the prices and had free shows just so we could have people out. And even when we have free shows, sometimes people still don't come out.
yeah, it's hard.
So do you support me? You know, like, and you really ask yourself that, you know, you follow me, but do you support me? I need support. I don't want you to be a ghost in my journey. I want you to be a part of the journey with me. And I mean that for everybody, because that's really what it takes to grow, and it takes other bands to understand that and to come together as the big five or the big three or whatever we could all be, like, to have a better chance with stronger mindsets, because we all put our heads together to say, what can we do? How can we do it? Well, okay, you know these people, I know these people. We all have connections. We all know people. We all have social medias. If we all came together, maybe we would have a true chance at a resurgence of the arts and almost like a renaissance for Jacksonville. Like, I feel like that would change everything.
Yeah, it definitely would. It create what it does is it creates like a buzz of a scene. People start to talk about, oh, that's very community sense.
They want to be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's why people end up flocking to places and like want to be a part of that thing. So it's just about, it starts with the community 100%. Unpopular opinions.
So I have one that me and Ben have discussed quite a few times, because me and him share different opinions on this.
Okay.
I do not care that Creed made With Arms Wide Open. I do not like that band, and I will stand by that. I know sometimes that's not the most unpopular opinion, but apparently down here it kind of is. So let me break that one out in the mud.
I feel like referencing Arms Wide Open to be like the reason why people would like them is hilarious.
Yeah, because
I actually hate that song.
But see, a lot of people for some reason love that song.
I mean,
I love
I'm
it.
looking at him when I say that.
I hadn't met him. I guess
My dad met him too, and he hated him.
meet the one guy that's been keeping Creed going for these last 20 years. He's in our studio, guys.
I've been wondering who that one stream a month on Spotify was.
It's always going to be me.
Can
you take
now it's
in Tremonti?
Here's what I will say about Creed, though, is that it's very well produced music.
Beautiful.
The performances are phenomenal on the records.
Oh, it's phenomenally produced.
And they entertain.
Yeah,
that's their job. They entertain.
Yeah, I think Scott Stapp's voice is so annoying, and
thank you.
I can't say that, Scott. If you happen to listen ever, I thank you for what you did. Thank you for giving people an emotion to attach to.
I will
help
shake your
them.
hand, but I will not compliment you. I'm shake your hand. I won't say that.
If you shake my hand, I'm not washing it. There's the difference. He'll wash his hands, I won't. But thank you for giving people an emotional attachment to say, hey, like, even if you didn't have a hard time, but you wrote a song about a hard time, because with Arms Wide Open, back to that, I was about his kid, but to be a new father, to have something, and to have all those emotions buzzing and rolling through, like, fuck, I'm going to be a father. Like, how could I get that out? Because I'm scared. I'm terrified. But if he took that and he wrote from a place of like, I'm so afraid that I'm going to hurt you like I've hurt everybody else in my life. And I could hear that. I can see that. But he went with that and was like, but because of that, I'm going to give you the most beautiful life I can because I fucked up in my life. I'm not going to let that happen to you. And to have that, and with Arms Wide Open, I'm sorry, it's still one of the most popular songs probably ever because of that, because of the hate. Same thing with Nickelback. It's the same thing with Limp
Nickelback
Bizkit.
just got so commercialized. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like
the haters
I
make
think they
it
have
happen.
great songs,
Though.
but they are commercialized. It was just at a certain time, like in the mid 2000s and like 200010s,
I could understand
extremely
that.
commercialized. And everyone was
Yeah.
like, bro, they sold out. I'm like, bro, they've been sold out.
They've been sold out
But
ever
that's-
since. What's that? What's
Look
the,
at this photograph.
Rockstar.
before Rockstar, dude. I mean, when I was in middle school, they started blowing up, and by that time they were already very commercial.
I don't know if it was How You Remind Me. I don't know if it was
How You Remind Me. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
whatever.
Teardrops, yeah.
Was it? What was the name of that record?
I'm trying to think.
It's something.
Oh, I don't even.
But either way, they had a record before that, like before they were signed, that was like much grungier and like heavier sounding, and you're like, oh, that's what people, I think, like their early on fans really attached themselves to. And then everything else after that was very commercialized, which I like that stuff. I was in middle school, dude. I liked it. You know,
My
it was all
brothers were
it was
huge
all really
Nickelback
good
fans.
material, but
I
everyone was
loved
just
it.
like, why are you all on TV? Like every time I hear a commercial, it's like their song is in the background, or they're playing the Super Bowl, or they're doing something like crazy. And I'm like, this wasn't supposed to happen. Like,
yeah, fuck you guys for getting success.
fuck you all.
It really
Fuck you for
sucks.
playing the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But that's even Creed got flack for that too. And look at Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
Machine Gun Kelly. Oh,
I don't
my.
endorse Machine Gun Kelly.
Hey,
Before
listen.
we
Same
start
thing I
that.
just said about Scott Colson. I'm calling you out by government name. If you're listening,
This is real beef.
if you're
now. This is-
listening, we're there for it, bro. You didn't sell out. You started something that we wish we could have fucking done, you know, which was pop punk again. Pop punk came back, and all these bands came back after Machine Gun Kelly did that.
Yeah. But also,
They won't even pay credit to that. Like,
because he's kind of I don't know, he's kind of a fucking tool, dude. I can't stand the guy. Like Eminem ripped him a new one too.
Oh yeah,
I will
he
always
kicked
love
him out of his
Eminem.
own genre, and then had to hire Travis to like reinsert.
Exactly.
Like,
All right, Ben, you got an unpopular opinion?
oof, I would say I'm gonna stick
were
to
on the spot.
I'm
Go.
gonna stick with where I was at. My unpopular opinion is Machine Gun Kelly did not sell out. I think he did.
I'm looking at this man in current disbelief.
I think he
don't
did
even-
what at least I wanted to do, and that was do something again that mattered, or that allowed people to feel like even though they didn't belong, that they belonged at least a little bit. And then look at everything that came after that. When We Were Young Fest came back. Bowling for Soup's touring. Less Than Jake's touring. Sum 41
Yellow Card is now
back and touring. Yellow Card, we're touring. Blink
Release new
182,
music.
we're touring. Everybody's
You
touring,
think
dude.
MGK is a reason for that?
I don't.
No, don't. I
He's
will
not
not.
a reason.
No.
He's not a reason, but he was loud enough in that regard.
Yeah.
Thanks to Travis Barker, but he was loud enough.
Don't diss my boy.
I
right
can't.
Now.
It's Travis. But it took that resurgence and somebody like Machine Gun Kelly to get all that hate just to get enough love to give to these people, to give them another platform again, decades more. However long it lasts. I mean, it may last a couple years. It may last 10. We hope it lasts more than that.
I think my second added unpopular opinion is that the bands didn't come back because of Machine Kelly. I think a lot
No,
of
they
the majority of them were all becoming broke because the economy was getting bad. And they
Yes.
were like,
They were
oh
like,
wait,
we gotta
100%.
tour
wait,
again.
people
COVID
will
and
listen to
everything.
us. They will pay these amounts for tickets. Let's do it.
Yeah, totally, dude.
Let's just get a new drummer or fill-in bass player.
I
Let's
had
just
a
not
lot
do the
of
original lineup.
I had a
That's what
lot
certain bands
of
do.
conspiracy unpopular opinions, but I think that
Tom was right. Aliens do exist.
I was going to say I
That's
think
not
that,
unpopular anymore.
no, that's why
It was
my first
unpopular
thing
for quite a while.
My
I'm
first
glad it's
thing was
not.
aliens exist because I thought of Tom, but I'm like, man, like it's out there now. If you're not on that mindset, or if you're not outside of that box yet to say, hey, like to think we were alone that's a long shot, you know, like, but as far as the music goes, it's a legacy, you know? And I mean, I think that's why we're all here, all doing what we do, is to leave a legacy. But I do believe that Machine Gun Kelly helped start a wave that ended up in Blink-182 releasing One More Time. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay. However that
fair.
happened.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if that's it, and I also think like people like my beef with Machine Gun Kelly is like because I don't have like an attachment to that music in that way.
Exactly.
So like my beef with him is I think he's actually not a bad rapper. I think a lot of the shit that he put out was shit. It was just that. But like some of the stuff was good, right? I even liked the diss that he did to Eminem. I thought was pretty good too. Yeah. But like then Eminem came back and just like, dude, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're just not gonna win. It's like that.
But
like,
you have to respect that.
Yeah, he's a talented guy.
It is.
I just like, and he's a great performer, and like he sells the artistry thing, entertainer, like all that stuff.
Magnificent.
I don't like. He sounds a little whiny and just like annoying to me.
I know, I do too. So I'm not gonna say I have to stand up for myself. I know.
You see yourself in Machine Gun Kelly, which is why you can't. Which is why you're not hating.
I don't even. Not even that I see myself, but I just see like-minded ideas. It's the same thing. I look at Mark Hoppus and Tom and Derek with Sum 41 and.
Oh, if like-minded ideas is dating Megan Fox, and I've definitely got like-minded ideas. That's for sure. Like,
to go back on the music, let's talk about have a Transformer segment.
Transformer segment.
If we're talking about Megan Fox, we're talking about Shia
wearing
LaBeouf.
the same white wife beater.
I want a Holes remake. There's a lot of things I want.
Oh my god,
but,
dude, that's not a bad idea.
No, that would be amazing. But to have like and shout out once again to Machine Gun Kelly for acting in The Dirt as Tommy Lee. That will
I actually
always,
did like his role as
that
Tommy
will
Lee.
always be amazing.
When did he play Tommy Lee?
In The Dirt.
The Dirt. In the movie The Dirt.
Oh wait, that was Machine Gun
That
Kelly.
was Machine Gun Kelly all day.
Yeah.
Tight pants, black hair. He was playing Tommy Lee, and I think that was shout out to Tommy Lee. Obviously, I'm gonna keep shouting people out. And Motley Crue, Vince Neil, Mick Mars. God, thank you for all the things that he did too.
You were
that was amazing.
godsend to that band.
To see all these people like, retiring or not being around anymore, like the big Seattle four. I mean, Eddie Vedder's the only one left from the four. Kurt, Chris, and Staley are gone.
Yeah,
I've said for years you need to wrap Eddie in bubble wrap and never let him leave his hotel.
Yeah,
just never let
and
him
Dave
leave.
and Chris and all those people and Billy Corgan, like they're still going. They're still making it happen. But the things that they aren't doing or can't do, we'll do. You know, like we'll keep that alive with Nirvana. I mean, I think what helped me when I was starting out with music was being connected to Kurt Cobain because of just the hair and just the look that I was giving off. And the music I was playing, of course, because I always covered Nirvana songs. I always will. But it gave me kind of like a little foot in the door to say, hey, like this kid has something. But it tied me to that too. So to be tied to that maybe forever would be amazing. To be in that same like, hey, Nirvana's not here anymore, but there's this band called Lifted Riffs, and they always cover Nirvana, and they do it just like them. And we might not. We mess up sometimes. But
Nirvana messed up
too,
dude.
that's punk. That's the whole point is just to keep that.
Play it perfect, you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's.
I think
keep it alive.
I think literally outside of any style of music besides classical, I think the whole thing is about the imperfection.
Yeah.
Like classical obviously is about perfecting the performance, but like, even jazz gets this rap for being super collegiate and like everything's got to be so perfect. But really, like historically speaking,
it's about how you improvise. Really,
it's improvising and
improvise. That's
and it's like you listen to like Charlie Parker and like Coltrane and a lot it's beautiful, but it's sloppy, and it's like these guys were drug addicts and like fucking couldn't keep it together half the time, but like they were speaking with their souls when you heard them improvise and do what they were doing. And I think that's just the spirit of like folk music in general. And like by folk music, just like anything that's like music that represents the people. Jazz at one point was music that represented the counterculture, and blues certainly, and rock and roll, and at one point country was doing the same thing. People, music that was the voice of the people that weren't being represented.
Exactly. I think grunge was like the last really big one, and then you had like the first pop punk wave, and then after that it just kind of went down into like more of a technical side, or a EDM or a dubstep, and then that kind of surged and came back down, and then you just kind of went from there to more pop. And then now that pop punk is coming back, now punk can make a comeback, and when punk makes a comeback, grunge is going to make a comeback.
Right.
And with all that encompassing each other, I know you were saying that the imperfectionism or anything, the Limp Bizkit even put it on their album. I don't know if it was $3 Bill or Significant Other, but they had a little part at the end of the song, and it was like somebody was talking shit about, they're using distortion, and they have the little monologues and stuff, and they couldn't actually play what they wanted to play, so they just turned it up and made it really muddy and started screaming along to it. They made it work. They adapted.
Right.
And shout out to Fred Durst, John Otto, DJ Lethal, Sam Rivers, and
Wes Borland.
I know I'm forgetting the most amazing man ever to exist as far as guitar, entertaining, artistry. He encompasses all of that into being himself.
Yeah.
Of course, that's Wes Borland, but he really kind of set it apart for me and was like, hey, you can be an entertainer, performer, and do it differently. And they proved they could do it differently, and then they wrote Still Sucks, and they're backdooring, doing the dab vibe stuff. And I love it, man. It's how cool is that to see those people. I hope that when I'm that age, I am able to jump around like that on stage.
And a collar tie.
Man,
you left out a big part of Limp Bizkit though, and chocolate starfish and hot dog flavored water is to me a fucking masterpiece of that
3,
genre.
Right?
Yeah, it's the third one.
album.
Yeah.
Hot dog flavored water.
Yeah.
That was they had hot dog on that, and then they had
There's a lot. They had Keep Rolling. They had My Way. They had.
I'd say My Generation was that on that one too?
My Generation was on that one, and then like more of the deeper cuts on it, like they had like Boiler Room was on it. They had the Mission Impossible. Take a Look Around was on it. Mission Impossible theme song was on it. I forget what it was called. And they had one with Fast Lane that was on there.
Yeah, he said, shout out to Ben Stiller.
Yeah. And also he mentioned Take It to the Matthews Bridge.
Yes.
He talks about,
that's My Way, right?
No.
Or it's at My Generation.
No, isn't that? I thought that was Fast Lane.
My Generation. He goes, John Otto, take it to the Matthews.
That's
Bridge.
right. Yeah.
That's My Generation, dude. And to be, I still, every time I drive over it, I take a video and I'll save it with that audio on it. But to be able to, like, that's what we need again, is people that didn't really give a fuck. They didn't. And that to me was enough to set them apart. And then people noticed that and they were like, why am I being so uptight? I want to have fun. I want to let loose. I want to go to a couple shows or jump around with my friends. It's not even like, I know everybody thinks of rock stars and grunge and punk, and they think like drugs and all this stuff, but it's not that, dude. It's always been about the music. And I really do think that if we had a chance to have a resurgence of punk and of just Jacksonville, that there's enough here that it would hold its own. And I think for years to come, because there's so much talent that hasn't even gotten to come out yet because it's been choked so far down the rabbit hole that they're begging for a chance, just like we are, but begging for a chance to be heard.
Yeah.
I think that we have a chance now. I think that doing stuff like this or doing podcasts or doing the news channels and talking about subjects like this allows people to say, hey, maybe I shouldn't be so uptight about this, or maybe I'll go support a show or two. Like, it's, even if they're free, like, we're not even asking you to come pay $10 to come see us. Like, tell me you can't and I'll get you in. Like, it's that easy. Just try.
Yeah.
As we're all here wanting it, and even the other bands supporting other bands. That's one of my favorite things to do, dude. When we were watching Talk-A-Lots and Last Resorts, my neck still hurts. Like,
my neck still hurts from punk nights. I was up on
dude,
that stage.
from Cody from Reckless Giants. They're another good band as well. But there's just so much good talent, and I want to see all that talent. It's not about one of us making it, and I'll say this until I can't. It's not about one of us making it. It's about us making it.
Yeah.
Us as a community. If you don't see yourself as that and you're above that standard or separated from that, then that's cool.
Yeah, it's not just one or two bands that were like, hey, like these two need to go, the other ones can go. Like we're talking
I just
about
wish
every band that we've had the chance to play with, the bands that we haven't had the chance to play with, but we still respect. It's
big. It's all
effort.
respect, dude, and that's what I wish. I wish people would look at it as more of like we're in science class and this is a fucking like group project and we're all Jacksonville. We're all here. We're all doing the same stuff. We're all playing the same venues. We're all getting paid the same 7%, from the overall of the venue. But like, if we all came together, maybe we could do more. Maybe we could make something.
If we all came together like how high schoolers come together at a rally against the opposing team, then we could rule
pep
the world.
rallies, dude.
Totally
Like
the world.
Jacksonville punk rallies, like where we're actually like, hey, like you've been bullied, you've been mistreated, you've been lied to for years from our own government or from your friends or your family, but like no matter what you've been through, no matter where you're at in your life right now and how hard it is, come enjoy 30 minutes with us, an hour with us, and allow yourself to see that there is potential here. There are people here that really do care and treat people how they want to be treated. And if we all looked at it that way, we would all strive and we wouldn't have to just survive at this point, because all these bands are just surviving and we're barely doing that. I mean, I'm still working every day, whether it's working a 9 to 5, whether it's flipping pizzas, whether it's working on DoorDash. Like anything you can do at this point it means so much right now, because the world is so like, the energy in the world right now is a lot of hate. And I feel like with our music and what we do, we have a chance to bring not even just love, like we're like, oh, love, peace, like some hippie shit. Like we are, but I love what I do, and you can feel that through me doing it. Now take that and do what you love to do and inspire somebody else. And it's just going to keep going.
Yeah,
and
it's
going
all pay
and
forward
going.
thing.
Yeah, it's compound. It compounds itself. 1, 2, 2, 4, 4, 8. If we really looked at it like that and we really tried to do that and say, hey, we have a live show coming up. Hey, our friend's band's coming up. Hey, I'm going to share this flyer on our story, or I'm going to write about this band, because what's it take, 30 seconds to post? 10 maybe, to post about somebody else. Bottom of the bill, Lifted Riffs, whether it's a show, a DJ set, even if you're having an open mic, if you send any flyers to us, like we're going to post them. Like if you reach out to us, say, hey, can you please follow my band? It would mean a lot to be followed by you. Can you please share this? Our new song just dropped. Like all of that stuff, people will like, I hate to say cock block, but like bands will cock block people and like say like, no, we're not going to support you, because then it looks like we're just like a fan page supporting other bands.
Yeah, like, it's weird sometimes in bands, like there's an ego thing.
It always will be there.
The ego in the music industry has always been heavily.
It'll always be
at
there.
the top of that list.
Now, here's what I will say though, is that if I'm a band that's like that's like really thinking about strategizing the social media side, then I'm probably not going to share a flyer of another band's show, because I have a strategy that I'm trying to do here. But it doesn't mean that we can't support each other in other ways, though.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, I think it's just a matter of like, understanding like where you can and where you can't, and working together in that front.
That's the difference, is tell me what you can do. If you, and a lot of people just say can't. And I pressed this with the band. Like I've said this like twice last week. Tell me what you can do. Don't tell me what you can't do, because you always will have can'ts. Compromise. Work around that. Say, hey, you know what? If that's the case, say, hey, we're trying to work on our own stuff, but for this time, since it means that much to you, I'll do it. I'm sorry, but posting one flyer or one thing about another band is not going to deter however many fucking 70 followers you have that actually like your shit away from that. I'm sorry, but what's that? Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. You haven't blown up yet. None of us have. But if we all work together, we can. Even if we don't work together in that sense of like community, but we all can reach out to each other and say, hey, we have a show in your hometown. Will you share it to your fans that are in this place? Why wouldn't you? You know, because that you're helping another band grow. Wouldn't you want that for yourself?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Treat others how you'd like to be treated.
It's basically
you want people to share your stuff. I want people to share my stuff. Let's share each other's stuff. Like it's that easy. Start a page that's specifically for that, or start a close friends thing that's like, hey. At least it segments it down so it's not all these certain people. It's only your close friends that are like, hey, come out to the shows, or hey, this is my friend's show and he's playing tonight. It's very simple things that take 10 seconds that mean a lot for people like us who try very hard to be that model for community.
It's very much to the point
It's
of
hard.
like, if you want to grow, how can you grow if you're not going to like let the people surrounding you grow as well? Like then it's all stagnant.
If
like, like you need a constant like state of growth, whether it be for you or the people surrounding you, so that you either have the quality of life to be like, yeah, we're doing really good, or that demeanor of like, I need to get better, and now I know who I need to get better than to go play these shows. Like if you're all kind of not, if at least if like a third of the community isn't striving for greatness, then no one's going to. Like it's kind of like you need bands to be at the top for a reason, so it can be like, hey, we're all trying to go on tour with these bands. We're trying to go record in major studios. We're trying to go, work with a lot of different artists that are way above what we do normally. And if you don't have bands like that in a scene that are trying to like uproot themselves and just do, better for their business model and just better for them, music-wise, money-wise, anything that you can think of in between that, if you don't have it, no one's going to want to work for it. And you can't just expect to sit here in your living rooms doing practice every week, not going out to shows, not at least watching your other friends play. Because, if you have friends in bands, this is a tip. If you have friends in bands and they invite you out to a show, I get it when you have conflicting schedules, with other shows. Sometimes we'll play a show and we have other friends that'll play the same night.
Oh, of course.
And we'll be like, we want to come see you, but our set's pretty much, I think, the same time as your set. Yeah. So there's no way we're going to be able to make that. And it's a constant battle. But if you can get out there, like once or twice and at least show them like, hey,
especially the free shows.
Just like, yeah, man, like even one show means a lot. Like if we...
It does.
That's why I'm trying to go out and see more bands right now anyways, like with the free time that we have. Like, I want to go out and see Last Resort. I want to go out and see Falling in Place. I want to go out and see Talk a Lot. I want to go see Blind Purpose when they come back into town. Like, I want to see Parks and Raz. Like, I want to go show these people that, hey, other musicians that are in other bands love these other bands enough to want to come out and see them. And it's,
they see
it's
us
like you said,
there.
it's community. It's a very big community.
They see us there, and then they're like, oh, you guys are here supporting them. Wow, that must mean a lot to them. Because that means a lot to me, seeing you guys here. If people took a second to think like that, maybe we could grow a little closer and tightly knit. And you said earlier, it's who you know, but if nobody knows about you, how do you expect to grow? The difference in making that is tell people about you, but know who to tell in that sense. Because, you'll tell 1,000 people, but if that's not the right 1,000 people to tell, it doesn't matter, because you might retain maybe 5 to 10%, and that's not a lot. That's not a lot in the sense of how much work it took in to reach out to 1,000 people. If we go to those people that we know are in the scene already and they still don't help and follow and support, that's kind of disheartening to me, because it's like, you want to grow, right? You would want people to share your stuff, right? You want people to come to your shows and fill those seats or fill those gaps. We want to do that. But will you do that for us too?
Yeah.
If you won't, then tell me what you can do, and that's okay. We can be just that. It's like a relationship. We'll just be friends or whatever. But it's
situationship with the bands.
But we want more of that strong relationship, like with the bands, like Talk-A-Lots or Blind Purpose or Last Resort, where we can say, "Hey, we're at your shows. We'll be there." And it might be the hardest thing we've had to do all week. It might be an hour drive, but if we can help, if we can come and support you, we'll be there. That's what we love. This is what we do every day. To do this every day is the dream. to make it to where we can do this every day is the hard part.
Right.
But it takes the community to come together to allow us to have the chance to do that. And I really do think that that is coming. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's also important to note that, like, to your point about telling the right people about what's happening,
Yeah.
you know, to like, if people aren't coming to support, then I think it's also okay to like just move on from that and like just be like, well, these people
You have to know.
aren't going to support, and that's okay.
That's okay.
You know, I'm going to focus on people that do want to support.
Exactly.
And when with bands supporting each other, I think that's important. I think that's an expectation that I've had to learn also to manage over the years, because like, yeah, you want your friends to come see you play. Most of the time they're playing the same night that you are. Or they're on the road, or, you know, if they are doing it full time, it's like when they're not playing, they just need a night off. You know, I'm super guilty of this too.
Dude, we all,
you know, so like, I think that bands should support each other when they can. I think it's more, I think the most important thing is to just have people that, helping people understand the importance of having a strong artistic community.
It means a lot.
And getting people to shows, regardless of whether or not they're musicians or whatever, just to have people that care and want to support and see the arts thrive in a community. Like, that's the important thing.
It's very important.
You know, so
to lasting and leaving a legacy, and all of us, I think, want to do that. It's the only way it can happen.
Yeah.
Is if that happens, if we have that resurgence to say, hey, we've solidified our place in Jacksonville or Florida or the punk scene or the music or indie rock or garage scene, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But we have a chance to make a change. And I do hope that because of something like this and thank you for having us on. I know I didn't say that to like start the show, but
no, of course.
Thank you for having us on. Shout out to Bottom of the Bill.
shout out to Bottom of the Bill.
It means a lot to us to be able to come and talk about music in general, because this is an everyday thing for us. I mean, I wake up and it's music. I go to bed, it's music. I'm having like weird fever concert dreams in my head. Like I'm trying to like sometimes like
breathing music ever since I was a child.
It's like popping a string in my dream, and I'm like, oh, it's just a constant repeat. But I'm like, it's the chance to do what I love to do with the people that I love, and with the support from the fellow people that are doing the same thing in the community here in Jacksonville, we can do it to a better extent, but we can also do it with more emotion and with more love. I mean, that's the biggest thing. If we feel that love, we're going to give more love. Life is about energy. Life is give and take, cause and effect. Because I did this, it affected me this way. Because the community started to care more, the music scene thrived. And the arts scene thrived, and these people that never thought they'd have a chance have hope. And that's something that I hope that I can do. I mean, that's when I leave, and I leave a legacy behind, I hope it's one that was caring and with arms wide open. I'll come back to Creed.
Don't you
But
dare.
I hope that people know us for that, and I hope that people see that we really do care, and we really do want to see everybody succeed. It's not about us succeeding. We'll succeed, but we want everybody else to be there as well, to say, hey, look at everybody. Look at all 7 of these bands that came through. And it doesn't even have to be because of us, but I want to at least have my part in the book. Like I always said, like I don't have to be on the front page, but I want to be in the book.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I
As
feel
long
that.
as I'm
my
a column
favorite.
in one of those pages and it has my name.
Even if it's
before
half
that's
a
all-
page, even if we're sharing a page with what was the band? Last Resort, because they're both LRs, like LR and LR. Like even if we share a page with somebody in the book of amazement and rock and roll that will come to be, that's it. That's all we want.
Yeah.
We don't have to be on the cover. Maybe we get lucky, like we were saying earlier. The phrase "get lucky." It's not really get lucky. It's, do you believe in it enough to manifest it for it to happen? Because if you don't, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
I will always live off of that.
I dig it for sure.
The lava lamp's helping.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to it.
Before we get out of here, I'm going to do my unpopular opinion real quick.
Of course.
I'm excited.
Let's see what
I'm
I
excited
got.
for this. I got to see what this is
I
about.
keep like a list here.
More seasoned in this department.
I've got a lot of opinions, bro. Let's see. What's gonna be?
You're picking the best one, the one that's going to get us the most.
Yeah, I'm always trying to.
What do you mean he said that?
Yeah, we've had a couple clips.
About green beans?
Yeah. Okay, so one that really drives me crazy. I don't know how like controversial it is, but I can't stand it when I see people that are like aging using filters to take away the aging. It drives me crazy.
I agree so hard on this.
Like I'm looking at like stories or
But
like
who
even
are they faking for?
Who are you
like,
faking this?
they're it's like it's cringy because you're like because dude you especially when it's guys doing it. I'm like, what are you fucking doing,
what
bro?
are you doing, bro?
Like
making my muscles
Just
tight.
get the salt and pepper mustache and let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
All right, let's just get it over with.
it's hard to watch because it's like, first off, it doesn't work. Like we know that you have something on because it's too perfect, right?
Can't be.
You don't look that good.
No,
You
you
don't
can't.
lie to me.
Yeah, and it's also like what you're saying is out of touch as fuck most of the time.
So I know you're faking it.
Yeah, so it's just like I don't know,
You just
dude.
have to take protein powder.
Yeah,
You know, it's
Bro,
just something
like, how much
simple.
that's
You know,
Yeah.
man. You're pumping those testosterone.
Yeah. Which is like I don't like to do the whole like ageism thing and like I don't.
It's a part of life. Dude.
Yeah, and like I think that
What's up, my fellow kids?
yeah.
Thank God we're still kids.
when people get older, I think like they come with more wisdom and there's a lot to be said there, you know. And I think that people that are younger that are told that they're dumb or their opinion doesn't matter or they're you know whatever medium that they're accessing at that time is somehow less than what was happening before
Because of traditionality.
yeah
and stuff
like
that.
that shit drives me crazy too. So I don't like the whole ageism thing, but please just own whatever it is that you have.
You have to.
It's just
Be the best at being you.
yeah,
you know?
dude. It's like we talk about it all the time in the show. It's just being authentic.
Yeah.
Like that's what sells art. That's what sells anything.
Yeah.
So like when you're on social media and you're like making yourself look 20 years younger or some shit,
It
it's like
reminds me of like Corey Feldman because he's trying to like be like Michael Jackson Jr. and it's like hilarious because buddy, I know you're over 40. You try to act like you're like 25 on that stage, twirling around. Like I don't do that to me. I see that sparkly jacket. That's not fooling nobody.
Yeah.
That's not fooling nobody.
yeah, dude, it's like it's wild. I get like wanting to stay relevant and
Right.
like, you know, especially in entertainment
I think
where like
it's that.
aging is a big thing and you know you get aged out thing, but also it's like it's not real, so people find out very quickly.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's just what you were saying, just be authentic. I mean, we all know that that's a process of life, but to fit in or to stay relevant, the fact that, why do you fucking think like that? Like, you shouldn't want to do something.
Unless you're people like John Stamos and Jennifer Aniston, where you age like fine wine, it doesn't matter what your opinion
Fair
is.
point.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what your opinion is.
Yeah.
Friends theme song. We got to learn that. I'm going to play the Friends theme song, but like a punk version.
Yeah.
I think we should do that. I was thinking about it the other day, but like, just if you're doing something to stay relevant, you probably shouldn't do it because you're just going to make a fool out of yourself. And if you do get past that first wall of defense, there's always going to be those haters. And I will say that it takes haters to make something happen, but if you're doing cringy stuff, you're probably gonna get a little more hate, like it just naturally.
Totally.
Like I just
Totally, and I
kind
think
of asking for it.
yeah, and I think really like on the point of staying relevant, I think like the most important thing is if you want to stay relevant, be open to understanding and growing. 'Cause,
Adaptation.
yeah, that's how you stay
Don't be afraid
relevant.
to take criticism either. That's the main thing. People get so discouraged from their first
man.
levels of criticism.
Cancel
Yeah,
culture
for
and
sure.
all this
What
stuff.
do you mean you didn't like that? That means I'm not going to be good enough. No, you just need to like
No,
work on it. That's all this ever is. It's just
not
working.
everybody's gonna like what you do.
Yeah.
Totally.
Regardless of what that is, whether you're making shoes, playing music, or cooking food, or making clothes or jewelry,
Anything, man.
or
Like-
just talking, even having your podcast. Like there are people that are going to be like, "Oh, I don't like unpopular opinions. Why does he even take the time to do that?" You're no matter what you do, you're always going to have people that envy you or their selves enough to come against something that could be great. And I see that all the time. I think, going back to Machine Gun Kelly, I really do think that's what happened. I think a lot of these people got fucking jealous. And I think that they were disheartened because they wanted to do something like that, to have an impact like that, and they fell short. And he did not, because of Travis Barker. But he did not. But he did not. And I think that catapulted him into this just basket of hate and criticism and all this stuff. And some of it's good criticism. I mean, like even you saying like he's too whiny, bring the highs down, bring the reverb down. You know, like people need to hear that. I need to hear that too. But I think that it's just there's a lot of jealousy. And even surrounding like our band in that sense, like we're not doing anything special. We're not doing something that people already haven't done. Like you said earlier, it's hard to do something that's original nowadays.
No. Don't disclose Steve. Steve is our original niche.
There are things we are doing that are fresh and new. And I think that what he did was, and even what Blink is doing now, it's fresh, it's new, it's exciting. It's something to look forward to and be excited about. And I want people to look forward to what we're doing and where we're going, because I want them there. I don't care if you're just a nobody from Jacksonville. Like, be a part of this. Be a part of this community and come with us. Come with us when we go to shows and we're going out of town, and your dream has always been to go to Vegas or California or New York, and we're playing a show up there, and I have the chance to bring somebody and make somebody's dream come true. I'm going to do that. I don't care if it's at a small scale or a big scale. I look forward to helping. I look forward to making enough of an impact to make people see that they matter enough to do what they want to do, and that is good enough. I always wear the shirt. This is "You Are Good Enough." I think that I was going to wear it today, but I had the Lifted Riff shirts. Had to promote those. We do have merch available. We're starting the liftedriffs.com, the website, with the merchandise and all the platforms and flyers and everything we do. And Steve, we have Steve the Alien 904. It's our mascot. It's the alien.
Nice.
I really do think that there is something here. It's similar to the taste that I got from stuff like that. And if we can bring some of that back to Jacksonville, and regardless of the criticism and the hate and every aspect of envy or jealousy that we get, none of that matters to me, dude. Like, it just washes right off every day. I get coated with it, and then I just wash off. I start over. I go back to home, which is Lifted Riffs, and I say, I have something. There's something here that's going to stand time and allow people to feel like they matter a little bit more. And I can't wait. I can't wait to leave that kind of touch on everybody. Even Dorian. Dorian's new to this too. I mean, and nobody's forced to be here. Like, it's something you should want to do because you love it.
Yeah, totally.
And even reaching out to like you guys saying like, hey, can we be on the show? Hey, send me flyers of who's on your, or reels, send me reels, and I'll shout you guys out on social media. It's just, the little things really do go a long way. Shout out to Bush, because they wrote a song called Little Things, and Good Charlotte, because they wrote the little things too. But I couldn't get both of them. I had to shout out at least both of them. But it really is the little things that really make the big things matter in the end. Because without those little things along the way, you might not get there. You might not be at those big places doing those big things without having to be little. We're all little in a big world where we're kind of set up for failure. But if we can go against that grain and endure that pain of being different or being an outcast or being left out, to know that there's a community that cares. I mean, that's all I want. I know it's not like an anthem or a motto or anything, but I just hope that we can last. And we have a lot of talent between John and Dorian. I really do think that the ingredients are there to make something happen. And I hope that that's in Jacksonville. And I hope that it's with these bands that that really do matter to us, because they do. Every band that we've ever played with. I could sit here forever and name them, but thank you. Because without that, without these venues, we wouldn't have had a chance to come on here. We wouldn't have had a chance to be where we are or release the music we've released, which thank you to Warehouse Studios for helping us with that. Thank you once again for having us on the show.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
No, absolutely. Glad to have you guys.
I hope people see it. I hope they see what you do. And unpopular opinions, that was fun.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get hate for what I said, but that's okay.
It's all right. It's all
I
part of
probably
it.
won't,
You know?
and I'm hoping I do so I can challenge it.
That is okay.
I'd love to.
And Creed,
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. One of the best bands out of Florida ever.
One of the bands out of Florida.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
Amazing.
thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm
Of
excited
course.
for everything
Means
you
a
got
lot.
going on.
Thank you.
I really dig the vibe and the energy, and I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you guys for tuning in. Check out Lifted Riffs on all platforms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Word.
We're going to be on all platforms. We did Bandcamp and SoundCloud as well.
Instagram.
Yeah. Instagram is at Lifted Riffs, LiftedRiffs. We've got merch available. Green, our song Green is out on every platform. Thank you for just loving music and allowing something new to happen to where we can maybe not even take control of it, but make something happen.
Oh yeah.
Spread some love.
I also have one more tiny thing to say for everyone that's in a band watching right now. One little tip: if you want to strive
Practice.
and no, that too. But
please.
But there's a small little thing that I learned. If you want to be in a band and strive to keep being better in that same band or a different one or anything at all, if you want to own that shit, sell that shit. Okay, like even if you got to fake it till you make it, sell it as much as you can
Every day.
And people, doesn't matter if you're not as good as you think you are. If people aren't musicians like you and they see you on stage running amok, they're gonna like that. They want to see you interact.
Yeah.
Be more open with your crowd, and please remember to tell them to tip the bartenders. We need that. That's my cue.
Tip your bartenders, tip bottom of the
you.
bill.
Yeah. Tip us for sure. We need lots of money.
And we need some endorsements. Shout out to
Shout out to Remo Percussion and Vic Firth Sticks. I use them every singular day.
Hell yeah.
you've got some. I know you've got some people that you'd like to see the podcast and endorse it. Some
So
special
many,
ones.
dude. I've got a fucking list I reach out to all the time.
You just need to hold it up to the camera.
Yeah, it's like-
please read this.
Yeah.
Please watch until the end.
If you sell a musical product or anything, just please.
Something.
Yeah.
Ambassador. I mean,
Or just watch the show, like it, share it. I don't care, dude.
Just something,
It's
man.
whatever.
Let me know you're here.
we could
Yeah.
get sponsored by like Firehouse Subs or like ramen
Yeah,
noodles.
give me that.
Yeah.
Oscar Mayer hot dogs.
Yeah, whatever, like all the
anything.
standard tour food.
Yeah,
Just
right.
Chef Boyardee in a can.
My Burger
Oh,
King
man.
Whopper Jr. at the end of the
Yeah.
night. It's gonna be
Off-brand Converses.
Yeah.
Like off-brand
the
shoes.
Donverse. The Donverse.
All right, guys. Peace
Thank
out.
you.
Peace.